Right, boldly going where I've never been before, an airliner. So, not a lot to it. This is just obviously a dry fit because this will be in flight. So I was just working out whereabouts I think I'll be putting the acrylic rod somewhere around here. I'm not sure yet on if I'll straight in or on an angle, but I'll heat and bend the rod probably as to how I want to mount it into a piece of wood. So it's decent size. I think it was 21 centimeters long by 20 centimeters wide, and it's not a huge airliner. It's the Superjet 100. So it's the Aeroflot. I did buy this metallic details photo etch set for it, which is probably a waste of money to some extent. I'll definitely want to use the engines, and I'll probably use some of the pitot antennas and whatnots. But most of the detail, all these big parts and all this cabling, that was for the gear bays. So if you're doing it wheels down, definitely a huge upgrade. It has even got static discharges, but they are very, very, very tiny. I'll give them a go, but we'll see how that works out. So I need to come back now. I've had a look, see, and glue in the clear parts, the windows. Yet to see how they fit. They look alright, so we'll see what happens there. But the decals I'm using for it will apply over the top of them anyway, so they don't need to stay, well, they don't need to be clear, crystal clear or anything, because they're like blacked out. Oh, grab them. So these are, what's the brand here? We've got Paz decals. I've never used them before because I think they solely do civil airliner decals. I may be wrong, but from what I've seen, that's what they do. So this sheet is the it's on one carrier film, so you need to cut out around the decals to separate them. So cut them out, cut around to get it away from the rest of the carrier film, which I'm not a fan of, but it's something different. It's simple but not, so it's a white airliner. It's got the flower effect and that on it, so sort of gives it a bit of colour but not too much. So everything here is all new to me pretty much. So the only thing that I've done that comes close is I did a I can't remember the aircraft, a Roden transport aircraft. I don't remember it now, but it was a civil scheme, but it was more blue, I think, blue with a bit of white, but that was the only other time I've come sort of close to this territory. So let's see how I get along with it. Alright, glued together. You hear that rattle? So I drilled the hole for the acrylic rod, and I thought it'd be fancy. I put a bit of brass tube in there with a top on it to insert, and I've glued that in, but guess what, it came loose, so no big deal. I'll just still be able to put the rod in. Just it'll be resting against the fuselage now instead of my dodgy bit I put in there. Side windows went in reasonably well. They fit the holes, but so they're on that clear plastic rectangular piece with the raised windows. The width this way of that rectangular piece needed a bit of sanding to fit into the recess of the fuselage. And don't worry about, well, I'm not, the clear parts, because the decals are going over them, so I'm just gluing them in. If I get glue on them, I don't care, because it'll be covered up. They're pretty good. I think there's a few that might have they might need a bit of putty around them. A couple here. So I don't know, you might put a bit of plastic perfect putty on those ones perhaps. The windscreen fits, but you have to, that the clear part bows out. So you got to pinch it in to get it to fit the shape of the fuselage, but it does fit. So what I did was glued one side, now I'm gluing the other side, which is why the tape's there to hold it. Alright, so I'm doing, we need this. So this is the kit engine, as in the intake fan, and let me pick this up. This is with the metallic details, obviously the photo etch. So there's two fans. 11 is the back one, 12 is the front one, and you have to bend the fans out, obviously. But you need to cut off that spinner. I don't know the proper name for it, sorry, that spinner part. You need that to go back on. So I'll just use the razor saw to cut it off. And sorry, you also need that piece of plastic. So that piece of plastic, sand off so cut off that spinner, keep it, don't lose it. Sand down that raised detail so you can put the photo etch on. And then by the looks of it, that fan should just, hoping will fit in the back here. Should be right. I don't want to force it, I want to paint it before I put it in. I think, let me get through my great bloody mess. Pretty sure they're in, so what's 8? Zvezda, what is 8? So the inside, the inside of that engine area is gunmetal, according to that. And what else was there? And I think usually the outer ring is like a silver chrome colour, but for now I just need to do the inside. These engines have, I don't know if they're sink marks or it's how they're, might be a sink mark, so I might have to fill them in inside here. I'll cut the other one off and check it out. If it's identical, I couldn't imagine that's a sink mark, but if they're different, then it must be sink marks. Because, will you see it? Yeah, you can see them. Oh, and also the rear part of the engine, so that's the rear nozzle. But the housing for the engine nacelle, or the nacelle, has ejection pin marks. You can see I've got CA glue that's been drying overnight. I need to clean them up. You probably won't see much of them when you put that fan in. Oh, you will if you look in there. You can see that, you can see it, so that needs cleaning up. But the one on the front side, don't worry about, because it'll be blocked out by the intake fan. So when I let that dry a bit more, I can start cleaning up that seam. And then when I've cleaned that up, then I'll put the wings on, and I can put in the doors, and hopefully I'm hoping that they all fit well, because the kit has option, there it is in the instructions. Is it showing? In the instructions, that wheels up or wheels down, so hopefully the doors fit. Alright, so I've cleaned up the seams. Just got to give that, where I've sanded a couple of areas, another shot of primer, double check it's all good. The stabilizers went on beautiful, all lined up perfect, no problem there. These gear doors were issue though. These ones went in alright, but these side ones, you can see I've had to put some putty in there. That curved area, the door piece that goes in, it's too wide to fit into the fuselage, so I had to sand both sides, the curved area down and a little bit on the sides. So basically the four sides needed sanding down, and they're really thick, and I thinned them down as well. They're awkward because they're so thick. So that was a bit of work getting them in. As you can see, I've got paint everywhere, but decals cover up all the windows, so it doesn't matter. You're not using the actual clear parts on this. I've cleaned up one intake, painted it, and the fan. Doing the other one, I just did one lot of filling with CA glue, sand it back, and it needs a little bit more. It's awkward, obviously, to try and get in there. I've been using sandpaper on that stick, sand it down, and then a piece of sponge, pinch it with the tweezer so it curves it, and then get in there, sand it out. It's a bit of work too, it's awkward because of the scale. So I need to check that, and then I've got a few antenna parts to go on. I need to check that the photo which I bought doesn't replace them ones or not. I'm not sure. Yeah, so I'll clean that up and see how it goes. Oh, I'm slowly chugging away on this thing. I'm starting to put photo etch on. I hate photo etch the best of times, but in this scale it is, even with the visor on, it's extremely difficult. And to be honest, I really don't know how much of it's going to survive the paint. You can see I've put all the ones on the up on this side of the nose. The same has to happen on the other side. The kit does have, there's indentations in the plastic for where these sit, so it's easy enough to line up. This one on the bum, I really don't know if that's right or not. Instructions for the photo etch are a bit vague to me, at least, and I'm cheating with it's static discharges. You should cut them individually off, so they're on a piece of brass, or obviously it's all brass. I mean, they're attached to this long piece, and you should really cut them off and then put them on individually. I can't that's going to do my head in. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting it off, putting it in here, and that base piece I'm sanding it right down till there's only just a little bit left, and I'm just gluing the whole lot on. I know that's incorrect, but that's all I can muster. I can't do it individually, and it still has the effect of static discharges on it, so good enough for me. Once I get the brass on, I'll shoot some primer around it and do some more primer, make sure that that's alright. I've got one engine together, so it's painted up. I've just finished cleaning up. The engines have a bit of photo etch on the pylon, the mounting pylon as well, just a couple of pieces. I'm in process of doing this one. I'm gonna glue it up. No, I was thinking about doing a scheme of that. I don't know, it took me a while to realise. I bought these aftermarket decals, and this is all I got. Decals. There's no picture of the aircraft, and there's no colour call out or anything like that. So basically, if you buy this mob's decals, you're going to have to look at images online and try and work out what aircraft you're doing. And I thought, oh, maybe their website has a link to the aircraft. But no, I've checked that, so I find that very odd. Anyway, that's what I got to deal with, I guess. But I have found pictures of the aircraft, but it's pretty. Some of them, so it's white on the upper fuselage. The wings are light grey, and the stabilizers are light grey, and part of the belly is light grey. And I can only guess what light grey it is because there's no colour call out. So I'll just do what I can do, I guess. Anyway, I'll paint these off because it will be easier, because if you glue them on, which I would like to do, you won't, it's impossible to get all the angles of the with an airbrush, and it'll make a mess. You'll get orange peeling because you're creating vortexes with the airbrush. So paint them off. They're light grey as well, and at the end I'll glue them on. And being the first airline I've done, I don't know how it's all going to go, but we'll see what happens. Alright, this is getting hard to handle now. Alright, so you can see I've primed it black. I've used Mr. Finishing Surfacer, the 1500. It's pretty heavily thinned, at least 50-50 with Mr. Leveling Thinner. So I've got a nice smooth primer. Now, as mentioned, decals didn't come with instructions for the paint, so I'm just going from images online. It's a light grey, and I just basically guessed some paints, and that I just use this one. This one's actually a medium grey, but it looks pretty, from what I can tell, it looks pretty close to the aircraft scheme. So I'm going to I just finished spraying that grey, so I'll let it dry a bit, and I'm going to give it a gloss clear coat, and then I have to mask off for the white. So wherever's, so the wings are grey, the stabilizers are grey, so I'll be masking from under the wing around here and around just behind the front landing gear. Everything else will be white. So part one of the scheme is done. Alright, so I've got my paint down. And I've sprayed in. This aircraft has the red tips on the wings and the stabilizers. So now it's the moment of truth. How will these decals go? And I'm going to have to keep referring to images on Google of the aircraft to work out where everything sits, because like I said, there's no instructions that came with them. But yeah, I'm feeling skeptical at the moment, but we'll see how it goes. I'll probably start with something simple, either the cabin, the cockpit window, or registered number or something like that, and see how they settle. Oh, let me grab him off here. I've got him hanging up. Right. Decals. I found them disappointing. I also damaged the U-tear one on the port side. I was using because it's all printed on one sheet, so it's laser printed, you have to cut around the decal, and that I was using metal ruler to run straight lines along the top and bottom of that decal, and I dragged the ruler and it just scratched it easy as. So I'm gonna have to try and touch it in with a blue that I can hopefully match. These ones on the tails don't really fit properly. They're not correct size for the model. The one on the fuselage doesn't, it'll look up on images of this aircraft that don't match what I've got. I've done the best I can with it, and also you can see they're not perfectly lined up either side, but the one on the fuselage is really awkward trying to get it. It doesn't fit. You need to cut areas to get it to slot around the stabilizer, and yeah, not easy. It does look nice, but yeah, not. I was expecting more, well, I was hoping for more from the decals. They're not bloody cheap either, they're pretty expensive. They're pretty, the paint on them is very thin, so like the U-tear should be a richer, deeper blue, and I found out myself, you just lightly, I rubbed the ruler across it and I scratched the paint off it, so there's not much paint or ink or however they do it on them. But I'll continue on with it. It's not too bad. For my first go at a airliner, I've just got to do a couple more decals on the engines. Like I said, I'm using references, pictures on Google, and some of these decals I don't even know where they go, so I just use the ones I know I could see, and that's all I can do. I've made up a base to display it on. It's just a piece of pine, so I cut it and used the router to give it a nice fancy top and stained it. I just need to give it a couple more coats of clear varnish. So the decals all set down. I used Ammo Mig's decal fix this time. I did try Microsol. They seem to take a while to respond. I feel, for me, this one's a bit more aggressive, so I use that. So if they're down, I've given it a gloss coat, so seems alright, other than the troubles I mentioned with the decals. So I might have to draw it out more. Yeah, I've made it pretty tight, that hole, so I might have to give that another clean out with the drill bit and the varnish going in there.
what I was going to say is, as you can see, I don't know if you can see there, that the panel lines and the hatches that are highlighted, I've used a wash. I've mixed, to keep it mild and not in your face, I've mixed light with some grey to suit what I'm doing. You don't see heaps of civil aircraft, well I don't anyway. You see a lot more military aircraft, and all the civil aircraft that I've seen, they don't appear to have washers on them. Now, I don't know why that is. I know airliners are Mickey Mouse clean and they're spotless, but to me, on a model, you should be highlighting your detail. Otherwise, it just looks like a toy that you pull out of the box like this and it's ready for the kid to smash into the wall. But I don't know, maybe it's not kosher to put a wash on a model, but I will be doing it because it, to me, that looks, let's compare it on the wing. You can't, unless you're on the right angle, you're not seeing the details. That way, you're seeing the details, and if you're not going to highlight the details, why bother having details? Just make the kit with no panel lines. That, to me anyway, but anyway, that's my thoughts on it. But I will be giving it a wash, so I might be having a different sort of looking airliner. Alright, all done. Pretty happy with it overall. Like I said, I've never done an airliner before, so again, a bit of a learning curve because it's something different. Trying for the glossy finish. Enjoyed it overall. The decals were a bit disappointing. Live and learn. I guess my problem is I suffer from, I can't do out of the box schemes a lot of the time. Usually when I buy a kit, first thing I do is look for what aftermarket decals are available, and the out of box for this one is Aeroflot, and a bit boring for me. I wanted something a bit more colourful, so I bought these, and having never done an airliner before, I didn't know the story behind them, so I'd probably do another airliner at some stage. Just I quite like the look of it, but and depending on the scheme, I might have a go at these decals again as well, the brand, but I know more about it now that I'm going to have to find my own images and sort it out that way. That was the disappointing part of decals, they didn't give you the layout of them. The kit, I can recommend the kit. That's the second Zvezda one, is to 144 scale kit I built. I did the Bereave E200, the seaplane. That went together well also, so the kits seem to be, if that two are something to go by, then the other ones on that scale should be alright as well. Obviously when you're starting to get into the bigger aircraft, 1:144 is a better option for a display cabinet, and you don't get a lot of 1/72, especially airliners. I added a bit more to the base. I used my engraver again just to put the name of the aircraft and the kit, more so for my benefit, because when I stick it in the cupboard a year's time, I go, oh, what kit was that? I don't even remember. I was thinking I might enter at QMHE, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's really good enough for competition, but I'll see how I go, what I end up producing through the next 10 months. I I might take it and just put it on the table, something different to display for people to look at. That's what it's all about, people seeing different models on display. Alright, I'm going to add some still photos now. Thanks for watching.